This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For our full disclosure, visit us at nc-midwifery.com and our podcast page. Well, welcome back to another episode of More About Birth. Very excited today. Your host will be Angie Hansen and her very special guest. Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to More About Birth. I'm your host for this episode, Angie Hansen. And as you can see, we're not in our normal studio today. We're here with my friend Tom Bingeman. And
Hello.
We're actually in his studio today.
That's right.
So we're going to be doing our interview here. So let's, to start out, Tom, tell us a little bit about who you are and your background and why we would be talking to a tall, skinny white guy about breathing in labor, because that's the topic for today.
Yeah, this is funny. So the reason why you're talking to me is because I'm the guy next door and you need somebody to fill the spot.
That's true.
So, yeah, okay. So now you guys know. But I'm actually a vocal coach. I've been working on breathing technique for the last, 15 years or so with people. And really what I do is more of an athletic approach to breathing, how breathing really helps your whole body function.
Yeah.
And kind of funny story. My wife was going to have her first baby. We lived in Denver at the time. And we went to like this birthing class, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going through it. I'm like, hey, where's the breathing section? And they said, we don't do that anymore. That's something that we used to do long ago, but we just stopped.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, do you want me to teach a little section on breathing? And they're like, yeah, sure, if you want to. So I had all the ladies laying down, all the husbands with them, and we were working on breathing technique, which muscles to use, how to do this thing, and it was just, to me, it was really funny, but it was something that surprised me that it was like almost a lost art when it's something that really should be focused on to help bring peace and relaxation, especially during birth. And obviously,
Yeah.
I've never given birth before.
Really?
The only men I've ever seen give birth are Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
Yeah, right?
You know, if you remember that movie from years ago. Keith, I know you remember that. Yeah, but I do really think it's important. I think we'll cover a lot of cool things today with that.
Okay, yeah. And also, not only the vocal background, but you have a sports background as well. Like, you actually have a little bit of training in that, right?
Yeah. So I'm a strength conditioning coach as well. So
Certified.
Certified strength conditioning specialist,
yeah.
a CSCS.
Yes.
I used to work corporate fitness at Boeing, if you guys know what that is, a big airplane company, but really a cool position. And I would train really the people who are making the airplanes on how to stay fit so they can continue to do their jobs. But what was really fun about that is at Boeing, you get everybody from people who haven't come to the gym for 30 years to professional athletes that are working for the company. And a lot of the professionals would come to me and I'd work with them on real specific breathing technique for the sports that they're doing. Everything from professional speed skaters to, you wouldn't even think about it, to ultimate Frisbee players that were like on ESPN, like top-notch athletes. It was really fun and just working with a lot of different kinds of athletes as well in that realm.
Yeah, okay, well, that's super cool. I'm really excited and fascinated by this because, as home birth midwives, like, we typically don't teach the breathing thing. We really believe that, women know how to labor, they know how to breathe, they do better when they're, left alone. But I don't think that's what this is. I don't think, as far as I know, I don't think this is like, we're going to breathe in for 10 and breathe out for 2 and like this like coached patterns of breathing. I think it's more a technique and like maximizing your oxygen is kind of what I'm guessing.
Absolutely. It's all about maximizing what you have. So think about this. So I need to ask you questions too, because there's a lot of things that I don't know about giving birth, like we just said. So it's really important to think about this, because the human body, look at a baby. Mm-hmm. When a baby screams, you hear the thing for 25 blocks away.
Right.
Right? The thing is just wailing, and it's like,
true.
and you're about to hear this one, and I'm going to hear it because I live right across the street. I'm going to hear this thing. Watch a baby breathe. Mm-hmm. Naturally, what does a baby do when it breathes? How would you explain it?
Boy.
This is a good question.
It is a good question.
Put you on the hot seat.
Well, if they're breathing well, they're not doing any retracting, so things aren't sucking in or caving in. Mm-hmm. Probably more from down here.
And that's exactly why you hear a baby from 25 blocks away.
Okay.
And as we grow older, it's like we reverse things and we start to chest breathe. We start to get up higher, which means we need to breathe more, which means heart rate continues to stay high all the time, right? And so this is where I want the training from you. It's like, how important is it to stay calm during pregnancy?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, this is huge. This is something that we talk about absolutely all the time, because it's what makes or breaks the labor. Like, you have to be relaxed. Mm-hmm. You have to be calm. And I love actually how this ties into another episode that we did, if anyone's watched the chirodontics episode. But, we learned from Dr. Stevens, the chirodontics guy, that, the body, the nervous system is calm when you're taking in enough oxygen. Mm-hmm. And even unwittingly to yourself, when you're not taking in optimal amounts of oxygen, it stresses your body.
Exactly.
Right. And so, yeah. So,
and that's what we're getting at. The higher that you breathe, and I think of birth like one of the most exhausting sporting
right?
events.
It's an athletic event.
It's an athletic event. It's a whole body athletic connection. So in sports, the higher that you breathe, the less oxygen you have, the quicker you expel energy. And also where this is an issue is people start to breathe faster. And if you're a chest breather, what happens is all that connective tissue in your chest hooks right up to your neck and your throat, and then there's just strain up high.
Yeah.
So the lower that you start to breathe, boom, when we get down to belly breathing, what we call lower costal diaphragmatic breathing, the lower that you breathe, the connective tissue to your abs and everything down here connects to your pelvic floor and all through your leg muscles. So how important is the pelvic floor and the leg muscles in the birthing process?
Just a little bit, right?
Okay. So, and I know it's really easy to think, well, we just need to do what's natural. It's like, okay, if we need to do what's natural, we need to get back to what's natural.
For humans.
Yes. Watch the baby. They breathe with their belly. Okay. Adults usually don't. They breathe with their chest. Like, no, we need to practice being a baby again.
Yeah.
And really focus just on the breath, the low ab breath. And again, and if people want to do counting or not counting, I'm fine with that if they do, because sometimes people, they do get in good rhythms and things like that, especially if that will calm them down. Because what happens is people go, pain. So then it's like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's like, hey, slow it down with the count if you want.
Sure.
And I'm fine with that. But bottom line is, step one, you just have to identify where you're going to breathe from. Okay. And that's that low ab breath.
Okay. And we're going to learn, maybe how to do that today.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
We got to get you ready. This baby's coming.
Really, this episode's just for me because I wanted the coaching.
True.
So, So I love that this is also not just for labor. Like, this is going to be for the rest of life, because what I hear you saying is that for whatever reason in our modern adult lifestyles, we don't really breathe properly. It takes conscious effort to
I think a lot of it is we're overstressed, we're constantly doing the next thing, and we don't take time to stop and be still. And we need time to actually literally stop and be still and breathe. Yeah. It's so important. It's like, I think of the scripture, be still and know that I am God. It's like, okay, I know you're God. I know you're God. I know you're God. It's like, no. Be still. Just breathe. Just soak him in. And it's amazing what kind of peace will come will come over us. And I'm preaching this to myself because I can get
Right.
doing one thing to another, but it's like we need to be still so we can reset. And I think, the birthing process is a lot about almost like a drive and then a reset. Is that right? Or am I speaking wrong? Like there's these moments of pressure, tension, then there's the reset. What happens during that moment of reset? Is it, oh crap, that hurts. I got to do it again. Coming up. Oh. No, you got to utilize that time to set yourself up for what's about to come again so you can go there with the tank full.
Yeah.
Awesome. And that's slowing things down and being still to just kind of reset your body to prepare for what's next.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's hear some of these techniques about how to actually do this so that we can optimize our oxygen levels during labor or the rest of life.
I got to tell you a story.
Okay, let's hear it.
So the old guy who I learned this technique from, he was a singer he went to Juilliard. He sang on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
He worked at the Olympic Training Center. And that's why he pushed me really hard to get my strength conditioning certification, because that's the same one that they had at the training center. And he, every year during Christmas time, so this time of year, he would go up to Winter Park, Colorado, which is just this beautiful area in the mountains. And he would have his family, a bunch of Italians, loud, wild Italians, up in the mountains doing whatever wild Italians do in the mountains. And I said, hey, how was the trip up there? And he said, oh, it was great. And our niece even had a baby up there. I said, oh, yeah.
What?
And the whole family was around. I was like, oh, huh. And then I said to him, I said, let me guess. You were standing right next to her and you had your hand on her low ab muscle while she was giving birth. And he goes, yep.
No.
And I'm like, oh,
of course
dog,
you did.
dog.
Oh, no.
Of course she did. But he was coaching her through just
That's
so she would
awesome.
understand how to breathe in a way that it would connect her pelvic floor to the birthing process. And I mean, obviously most families aren't that close.
I love that.
But I just thought it was really cool. So that's really step one. Step one is learning to breathe from your lowest ab muscles. The lower that you breathe, the better.
Okay.
And so, it's probably easier for somebody who's pregnant because you already feel so much stuff going on down here.
We need to practice.
We need to work this out. So honestly, first step, you can just put your hand kind of at the bottom, like below your belly button. And then when you breathe in, just feel everything drop. And what you can do at the beginning, even just breathe in through your nose and let everything expand and drop. And I'm fine if you blow out through your mouth or through your nose. Right now, and feel your belly just expand. Let that happen. We get so accustomed, and I think this is a part of what messes with us. We got to hold our abs in. We got to hold everything tight all the time, so we can look like we're, so we're looking good. And I'm like, I can care less about looking good. I care that you're connected to a pelvic floor. All right. So it's just literally letting this learn how to relax and drop.
What do you do if when you're trying to do this, it feels tight or it just feels like you're working against yourself?
Well, you're probably going to feel pretty tight down there because you already got something taking a bunch of space. But when you laugh like that, what muscles are working?
The ab muscles.
Those muscles right down there. When you laugh, you don't go.
Well, you might.
When you laugh, it's these muscles that are naturally working.
Okay.
It's called a gut roll, right? For some reason, because everything in your guts really starts to move.
Okay.
Now you're gonna have to tell me: is it hard to lay on your back right now when you're pregnant?
It is, but I have to do it.
So if you can do it in some position, especially if you're elevated, it's easier to identify these muscles when you are laying down.
Okay, that's good to know.
Because you're not having to use the your core to support the weight of your body.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then you can just easily identify those muscles. But first step, I'm like, literally put your hand there and put a little bit of pressure so it tells your body where it needs to go. Because pressure is what builds muscle memory, or touch is what builds muscle memory.
Oh, yeah, that pressure does make a difference.
Yeah. So, if you're lightly pushing, because if I'm working with a singer,
yeah.
you know, I'm going to go up and I'm going to work it. You know, like I'll take a coffee can, usually put it over their belly button, have them laying down, feet or knees up so pelvic floor is level, and so breathe in and make that coffee can come to the ceiling. So they'll breathe in, belly gets big, blow out. I'm pushing down hard so they can feel what it's like to use those muscles to breathe.
Okay.
You have to use touch.
Yeah.
You can't just go, okay, I'm going to breathe with my belly. No, you need to touch, because through touch is where muscle memory is built. And I'm like, put as much pressure on there as you can without pain.
Yeah, okay.
That's what's going to help you identify that. And then try to send it, make that hand drop as you inhale. That's going to be step one of getting this thing to work.
Okay. I'll write this down. Step one.
Step one.
Yeah. So then what would be the next thing after, how long should you practice this until it's just coming easier? A few weeks or?
I've been working on it for 15 years.
Okay.
You know? The earlier the better, especially, you're in your first term, second term.
Yeah.
Start now.
Yeah.
Start now, because the thing is, your muscle memory is likely chest breathing. You know, and it takes a while, especially since you've been doing this now 32 years, you know, to kind of reset things to how they originally were. It's like the more that you can work on it, the better. Again, I don't want it to be this thing of like, I've got to do this all the time. It's like the more that you practice just a few times a day, it will start to become second nature.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And one thing that's coming to mind for me is I have heard from, other people that just are talking about relaxing in daily life and that sort of thing, that the lower you get in the body, the more relaxed you tend to be. I know midwives talk about that for labor, just, trying to get out of this and this crunchiness and, and the lower you can, kind of anchor yourself to the floor or wherever you are, it's more relaxing. So.
And that's the only way to anchor yourself is through that low ab, because that's what connects to your lower body.
Okay.
Well, the reason people get all like this is because they're chest breathing. They're breathing so high that they're causing so much tension in their neck and their throat,
Yeah.
And they're hurting themselves. It's like we want to have maximum. So the way that energy works in the human body, it starts at the floor, at your feet, right? Then it goes all the way up to, okay, I'm going to say words here because this is the show for it.
This is a birth show.
It's a birth show. right to the perineum.
That's crazy.
If you know
it really is.
That's the power source. Then it's like from there up. So if I'm not breathing in a place where I'm making all those muscles work down there, I am inefficient in regards to releasing energy.
Wow.
Energy release breathing has everything to do with connecting the energy release through the whole entire body.
Wow. I'm feeling my tension even as we're talking about this.
When's the last time a man said perineum on the show?
Hey people, your perineums are powerful.
You have a powerful perineum. Especially you, Keith.
Oh gosh. He's gonna love this. Oh goodness. Okay, yeah. So step one, getting down here, practicing this, expanding, and then what?
Step two, okay. Actually, let me go continue with step one.
Okay. You
have to establish 2 points, point A and point B.
Okay.
All right. To be or not to be.
Okay.
That is the question. So what point A is when you are expanding as much as you can. You have to. So I don't want like little expansion. I want total expansion. That's as far as I can go. And of course, don't get to the point of like, this is painful. It's ripping me in half. We're not talking about that, but literally breathe in as much as you can. Then when you exhale, slowly exhale until this thing is squishing.
Okay.
So your turn.
Oh gosh.
So breathe in and drop that and then establish. Yep. Now squish that as far as you can. Okay, so how far would you say you breathe there?
Like how many seconds or how much distance?
Distance.
Distance. Oh, goodness.
How many inches or how many feet and how many yards? How many miles?
10 miles. I don't know. I would almost say like an inch and a half or a couple inches.
Okay, so let's say it was 3 inches.
Okay.
So guess what I need you to practice? 3 inches every time.
Okay.
You need to go the full distance.
Maximum.
Because the full distance, that 3-inch movement, will show you whether or not you're getting a full tank of air and getting it all out.
Okay.
That's what's so important, especially when you're on the resetting phase,
Yeah.
or whatever what do you call that? I call it the resetting
like
phase.
in between contractions?
In between contractions. Like right away, after those contractions are over, I want you to be working that 3-inch movement so you're getting all the CO2 out, all the fresh new oxygen in, and so you can also help that heart rate come back down.
Okay.
Because what happens, people breathe too quick. Okay, that was a lot of pain. No, I want you to reset your body.
Yeah.
Start taking it slow and low, and that's what's going to help bring that heart rate down to set you up for that next round.
Okay. Awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I think those are big ones. First, establish where am I breathing from as low as you can.
Okay.
Step 2, how far are you breathing on your inhale and exhale? And that's what I want you to practice every time.
Okay. Maximum expansion every time.
Yeah, maximum expansion every time. Yeah, you can write that down. So the next thing that I would also do, this might kind of sound funny, but it's okay to incorporate sound.
Okay.
Okay? Because sound's an important thing, because sound can also connect the rest of your body to the release. Yeah, to itself. So if you're trying to get these muscles to work, because I can go up to somebody and be like, all right, sing with these muscles. They have no clue what they're doing. But if I say sigh with those muscles, ha, or a yawn, or a ha, where that H sound, a ha, that H, ha, will be what connects it to the lower body.
Okay.
So your turn, and she's a singer, just so you know. So I think sometimes we need to get her, and a songwriter as well, amazing songwriter. I think we need some of these songs on the show one day.
Oh, goodness.
Can I say that?
No.
Too
you
late.
Can't.
All right.
Edit. No.
So just so put your hand on the oh yeah, get down there.
Get it down.
Yeah, so just breathe in all the way to point A. And now sigh. Just give a sigh as you push it in. Yeah. Now breathe in. Now give me a bigger sigh. Yeah, again. Now breathe in. Give me a bigger sigh, like you mean it. What do you feel especially when you're doing a bigger sigh while you push in, versus just blow out?
I think it went farther actually, but it feels like there's more energy right here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it's easier to so when your vocal cords are coming together, you're helping regulate the speed or the amount of airflow that you're releasing, right? So if I inhale, then just blow out, it's like all my airflow just come out. But if I'm doing a sigh of some kind, the cords are coming together and it's helping regulate the speed in which the airflow is coming out, so you can really slow it down. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Yeah. No,
Instead
it does.
Just powering through it.
That's interesting because women kind of naturally do that vocalization during labor, so that's interesting that part of it kind of is instinctual.
No, yeah, I think so much of it is instinctual, especially when you're doing it. It's like, okay, I'm already connected to these the pelvic floor, and I just think it's just important to start thinking of that, especially on the reset. Resets, because that's a time where it's like, okay, I'm kind of back to normal now.
Right.
I'm like, okay, here's normal. Here's normal.
Yeah.
Let's establish a rhythm. Here it comes. Let's go again.
That's good. Awesome. Okay, so the vocalization, we got step 2.
I don't know. That's like step 4.
Or 3 or 4 or 5, something like that. Okay.
And to me, those are going to be the biggest things. And now, I don't mind if people practice, especially beforehand, practicing with counts.
Okay.
I actually don't mind that at all, because a count can be what actually slows the heart rate down.
Yeah, I think the differentiation I'm making is what probably the childbirth class that you and your wife took, the part that they dropped is probably the part that we also have dropped. And it's not this, it's not breathing out for so many seconds or in or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's more the pattern of like, okay, now you're in this phase of labor, so we want you to do this. Now you're in this phase, we want you to pant. 10 pants, not 11, not 9.
Oh, yeah.
That type of thing where it's very
coached. It could be stressful too.
Well, yeah, and it just seems very counterproductive. So I think that's why they dropped it. But this is not that. I think this is a completely different thing. Connecting with your body, doing that expansion, practicing it beforehand so that you do know when are you doing it, and you start to notice, oh, that was like half of my breath actually, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So.
And I remember when I really started to put this to practice in myself. I know obviously I wasn't giving birth, but I was running, and I was a notorious chest breather. Tall guys just breathing up here, and I learned the breathing technique, and then it was kind of funny. I started to really mess around with like step to breath ratios when I would run. Like, how many steps am I going to take before I inhale, and how many steps do I take before I exhale? And the day before I ran 2 miles, and then I did this step to breath ratio thing the next day. And when I was done, it was dramatically different.
Really?
I felt like I didn't even run.
What?
And I went to the studio that day or the next day and, talked with Doc about this. I said, hey, I've been working on this step to breath thing. And I really want to start talking more about this and testing this on other people. And it's similar results. I had one gal that I was teaching this breathing method to, and she was a athlete in Finland. She was on the Finnish national baseball team, and she's now a professional, what do you call it? Like bodybuilding model kind of.
Okay.
So my wife would make bodybuilding suits for her.
Yeah.
So, and actually her body was used for the Nike mannequin. It was funny.
Oh, wow.
But after she learned this breathing method, I said, hey, can you send me a testimonial? I didn't know what she was going to send. I had no idea. And she says she doubled her weight on her leg press that she was able to do after starting this low breathing method. Because what she was doing before, she was breathing in chest, holding it tight, then trying to push. And it was totally robbing her of her strength.
Wow. That's amazing.
And I was like, because think of a leg press, you're in the same position in essence you are giving birth.
Yeah,
almost,
absolutely.
And I think that connection to that pelvic floor is really what helped thrust her forward in the leg press.
That's powerful.
So yeah, she was very powerful there. You have to understand that. Yeah, she gave all she got there.
Well, now with the step to breath ratio thing, are you saying like you would try to push yourself to do more steps per breath? Is that how that works?
No, less.
Less steps.
No. You're right. It was more steps per breath.
Yeah. Okay.
So most people, what they're going to do is they're going to breathe in. Like a lot of the science, especially back then, was like, okay, breathe in every 2 steps, inhale every 2 steps, exhale. Then it's like you're always inhaling and exhaling. Yeah. And it's like, it kind of goes back to what you're talking about. Your body will tell you what you need. Okay. When you're starved for oxygen, that's when you need to change the rep ratio. Right? Okay. When you're starved, and it's the same thing if you're giving birth and you just got through contractions and all this stuff, your heart's beating fast. So guess what? You're not going to breathe super slow at the beginning, but you can time it out to where it is a little bit slower. Then it is a little bit slower. Okay. Then we slow it down as much as we can, and your body will tell you what you can do because each person has a different level of conditioning and the speed. So people who have a higher level of conditioning, their heart rate's going to be slower quicker.
Yeah, right.
And you probably noticed that, right?
Not in myself, but I know that that's a thing.
Yeah. I've heard of such things before, but that's kind of...
I've heard of healthy people.
That's kind of what it was that helped me is I'm now taking less breaths. So therefore, my body wasn't using so much energy, and I think what it is, forgive me if I'm wrong in the step, but I think it's when you're exercising, I believe that it's 12% of your energy is used up just by breathing alone.
Okay, yeah, that sounds plausible.
If I'm limiting the amount of breaths, I'm limiting the amount of energy I'm using.
Yeah, so you can use
it somewhere else. So I can use the energy somewhere else.
Yeah,
so that's what we're getting at.
That makes sense, yeah, and I love how you describe that. Like after the contraction, after, when your heart rate's high, it's not so much that it's a coached thing. It is natural. Your body's going to tell you what to do, but it's just making good use of what you already can do and should be doing. So like you said, the first one might be a little bit shallower and not last as long, but then the next one, and each breath should be getting more and more, and that's going to slow your heart rate down. That's going to mellow you out and relax your whole lower body.
Exactly.
And facilitate a wonderful labor and birth.
This is beautiful.
Right? And on that peaceful note.
Man, you're grilling me today. How many questions we got?
I think that's about it. I'm sure we're over our time. It always goes quicker than you think. This was awesome, Tom. Thanks so much for your time and for doing this with us. And
glad to.
Can you tell people where they can connect with you if they want to do such a thing?
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, if you want birthing, breathing training, I guess
Tom's going to be teaching birth classes training classes.
But my website for vocal lessons and everything is resoundvocals.com.
Okay.
And we also have a kids fitness channel too.
Yeah.
That's something we put together like when all this pandemic stuff, hoorah, started to start up. My kids weren't in school. I'm like, hey, let's start a fitness channel on YouTube. So that's something that we did. And you can get to our website, tazkids.com. And we do a lot of fitness for kids just to keep kids moving and grooving as well. So.
Yeah, I'll put those on the screen for everybody. So
yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much, Tom.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're coming soon.
It's soon. All
right. So are we placing bets? Like, what do everybody think? Boy or girl? Like, what are they guessing right now?
Everybody says boy, but that's probably because of my shape. But I am like this with all of my kids. So.
Ooh.
That's not the giveaway for sure.
All right, TBD.
Yeah.
I think Tom's a good name.
Hey, Tom.
Tommy
Little
Hansen.
Tom. Little Tommy.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. We'll see ya.
Peace.
This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For our full disclosure, visit us at nc-midwifery.com and our podcast page.
Cue the outro music. Oh my goodness.
Press record.
Oh, it's recording.
So is it rolling? So I just do my little intro anytime?
Yeah.
Yo, Keith, edit this stuff out. We'll get to the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, cut one.